Breaking news out of Leon Valley, Texas, where the city manager might just be on her way out. City Manager Kelly Kuenstler is responsible for a lot of the activities that have been going on in Leon Valley over the past few years. So who is Kelly Kuenstler? Let's play this clip from July 6, 2018 from Texas Public Radio. Protesters confront Leon Valley police officials over civil liberties. This is when the First Amendment auditors were out there at Leon Valley and Joe Salvaggio held a press conference. Here is what Kelly Kuenstler has to say about civil rights violations.
But Leon Valley doesn't seem ready to surrender. The activists say their civil rights were violated and they're lawyering up. But City Manager Kuenstler says,
but we have insurance for that, for civil rights violations.
But we have insurance for that, for civil rights violations. So the other thing, who carried out a lot of that? Well, that was Police Chief Joe Salvaggio. Here is his offer of employment. You can see right up here, signed only by the city manager. She hired him on in September 2016, a salary just around $100,000, includes a city vehicle, city cell phone, and in her evaluations of him, that's right, she evaluates his performance. If she doesn't like his performance, he can be out of there. Apparently, she really likes Joe Salvaggio. She said that his leadership skills are superior. She says his ability to identify problems and come up with solutions to address those problems is 100% on point. His action plans, this was back in 2017, was to reconstruct the police department and to professionalize the police department. Do you think he's professionalized them? And in the next performance review, she couldn't decide just how much she liked him. She ended up deciding it was going to be above expectations. She said, implement this red light camera program or impound lot and see if you can work with Public Works to advance that impound lot. Now, the city manager, she also really is against people contacting her, calling her. They really don't like that. Here's a police report. She didn't like that when Jesus Padilla was arrested. They said, yeah, flood call. Yes, flood call, people. Whenever I get arrested, flood call. In fact, Joe Salvaggio and the city even tried to make it against the law for people to call the police. That law, fortunately, did not pass. And here are some examples of communications she considers to be harassing. Tyrant, alert, and call flooding needed. Sue the living crap out of your city. You are a disgrace. Tyrannical bullies. That, folks, is what warrants a police report. Now, last week I reported about how the Leon Valley City Council is canceling democracy. They are just not going to order an election if the tyrants aren't going to be able to stay in office. During that, I noticed that the city manager, and this was a very, very, very weird, peculiar situation, something I don't see much in city governments, and I see some weird stuff. Something that everyone was paying attention except for one person. Kelly Kuenstler, the city manager, had her head down and looked like she was sending communications on an electronic device. Yeah, I'll show you some of that. This is a motion for the vote.
I'd like to make a motion that we pass, that we approve item 7.8 as written.
Okay.
Or actually, the motion to not to vote, the motion to decide whether they were even going to talk about holding an election. Crickets. No one will they won't even discuss having an election, let alone putting it up for a vote.
And we need a second.
They won't even discuss why they're against it.
So,
and look at her head
Archon,
down.
Per our charter, it says that we must add these to the ballot. Is that correct?
That is
For the
correct.
election?
That's correct.
So
Couldn't be any less interested in this.
All of the council members are in violation of the charter. Is that correct?
No.
How is that?
The mayor's
work
like,
if-
what's
if I
going
can't
on?
if we can't get this added to the ballot, but the council refuses to do their jobs.
Oh, I just noticed who also is on the phone. That's very interesting. That's very interesting.
Not a violation of the charter not to second a motion. You're right. You have a.
So that's when they canceled democracy. More on that a little bit later. So that's who Kelly Kuenstler is. She's directly responsible for the police chief. She's generally directly responsible for just about everything that goes on at Leon Valley. I've been investigating the activities at Leon Valley for about 2 years now. 2 weeks ago, I filed an open records request. Let me tell you what that was for. It was for 2 days of the emails sent by the city manager and 3 days of emails sent by the Police Chief Joe Salvaggio. That's not a large request. And the last item were the 2018 and 2019, so the most recent 2 performance reviews for both the police chief and the city manager. I still have not received that information. So on Thursday, I corresponded with all of those officials and also the city secretary. And I said, look, I filed this request 2 weeks ago, and I have not heard anything since your acknowledgement. I would really appreciate receiving those tomorrow, as they are important information for the breaking story I am set to publish. That's this story. Prompt access to those records is paramount to my ability to fully exercise my First Amendment rights, free from prior restraint. The information is important to thousands of people in Leon Valley and across the globe. So that was at 8 o'clock, and about 20 minutes later, I received a response. And so she's trying to make up when they actually work, saying they don't work on Fridays. And they say, nonetheless, the information was gathered, so they've already gotten all the information together. But unfortunately, I am out of town this week for training. I plan to do the redactions when I return next week, so you can have them. She says that they will have the records at 3 p.m. on Wednesday. Now, she says that, yet, on this agenda that we're about to go over, I want you to see this. She had no problem signing that today or Fridays when I'm recording this at 5:30. So what are in those communications and performance reviews that I requested? Why are they dragging their feet so much instead of just handing it out? So what happens is this prevents all of us from being able to know the real news, what's really going on in this, what seems to be quite an interesting development of events. Withheld, we don't get to know until after the city council meeting, where what I'm about to tell you is going to take place. Now, this harms all of us. It can't ever be repaired, even if they eventually release it. And so one thing you might want to research is prior restraint on the activities, the First Amendment protected activities of the supposed free press that we have in America. Okay, so that breaking news, that Leon Valley update, it's this. This is the agenda for Tuesday's city council meeting. And on that agenda is this: presentation, discussion, and possible action on accepting the resignation of the city manager and approving an employment separation agreement with the city manager. Also, presentation, discussion, and possible action on the appointment of an interim city manager and approving a contract with the interim city manager. Then they're going to meet an executive session. That's where we don't get to know what's said. We don't get to know what happened. They go and they operate behind closed doors. They, do whatever secret government things they do that we don't get to know. And there they're going to deliberate on the employment resignation of the city manager and the appointment, employment, reassignment duties of an interim city manager, and also an employment termination agreement with the current city manager and a contract with the interim city manager. So this is all going to happen very fast. We find out about this on Friday. On Tuesday, they want to no telling what kind of golden parachute for the city manager, because right now in her contract, if she resigns, she gets nothing, just her accrued pay, like vacation time, basically. So apparently she wants to do some sort of golden parachute, big payout, since in her contract, she doesn't get anything if she voluntarily leaves. This could be really dangerous. It could cost the taxpayers of Leon Valley a lot of money. Also, without any time for public involvement, they're going to select the interim city manager, apparently approving a contract. That means that that individual, who's probably an existing city employee, probably the police chief Joe Salvaggio, and with that will probably be a nice fat pay increase. So this is likely to cost the taxpayers a lot of money on Tuesday. After that secret meeting, they're going to come back in public and do a little vote where, they get away with just voting and we don't get to know what was said. They vote and, take action on the issues discussed in executive session. That's how it works. They discuss, then they come out and take action, and you're stuck with whatever financial obligations and tyrants they want to put in charge. Government's awesome, isn't it? Now, there's other important news, and that's the election. I'm going to save that to the end of this video, so stay tuned because there's important updates on that have big ramifications on our ability to reform this tyrannical government in Leon Valley. So no matter what happens, there's no doubt that this is a huge step in the right direction, getting rid of the city manager. First step in reform. Even if transiently, if the police chief is the city manager, that actually subjects him to more control by the city council. How about that? So one thing is, when is this going to happen? Well, I don't think it'll be immediate because in her current contract, she has to provide 60 days notice. I assume she'll resign probably right around the time of the election date, should they actually hold it, where we expect that the tyrants are going to be kicked out and we're going to have ethical people on the city council. So, I want to go over some things in her employment contracts. These are the 3 contracts she's had with the city. And she was, if I don't lose them all, she was hired in 2015, I believe in September. Yes, September. So she was on a 2-year contract initially. And in that, she had a base salary of $115,000, but she was also allowed to continue doing professional teaching, counseling, consulting, and other engagements, moonlighting. She could get up to a 10% performance increase every year, $10,000 a year into a retirement fund, $800 a month for a vehicle allowance. Guys, that's insane. And $100 a month for a cell phone allowance. Professional dues and subscriptions to national, regional, state, and local associations and organizations. And so what this is that our taxpayers go to fund these organizations, these conferences. They're anti-citizen conferences where they learn these games about how to abuse the public, how to get more of our funds to fund big salaries for themselves, to help their cronies. We have to fund all these dirty games where they erode the Constitution and subject us to their abuse. We get to fund that. Travel for meetings, occasions, for professional, this clause is just for the professional development of the employee. We get to pay for that too. Whereas, I bet many of y'all, if y'all want to advance your professional development, maybe to get a different job, you would probably be on the hook for that. She gets paid for any sort of other employer-related business expenses and memberships to the local and civic and other organizations. Like Leon Valley is real big, and she's not, but the police chief is in the Alamo Area Police Chiefs Associations. That's where they do a lot of the plotting against the activists, and they even have one of the police administrators at Leon Valley do administrative work for that organization. So, in this original 2015 contract, if she's terminated by the council, then she got 3 months of base salary. So, maybe around $30,000. If she voluntarily resigns, nothing other than the unspent personal leave time. One thing very interesting, she didn't have to really work a certain amount of time, and she got to set her own schedule as, quote, appropriate. There's the execution of that contract. In 2017, they renewed a kind of a similar contract, but huge pay raises, guys. Huge pay raises. So they bumped her base salary up to $139,000. That's a $24,000 increase. And her retirement went up to $15,000 per year, a $5,000 increase. And it kept the same thing. If she was terminated, she got 3 months of base pay, which is about $35,000. should the council say, hey, you're a tyrant, we want you out of here. That's how much it would cost. That was executed on August 15th, 2017. For 2 years now. Now, when August 15th, 2019 rolled around, there was no new contract. Her contract was done, yet she just continued to sit there and pay herself and remain employed. It wasn't until a couple months later, just a few months ago in October, that this new 2019 contract was executed. And this one, guys, this is a scary contract. It was a 4-year contract. I think she saw the writing on the wall here. Let me know in the comments if you agree with this. You often see this right before they go out. They want to set up the golden parachute. The base salary went up another $21,000 to $160,000 a year, and up to a 15, it was previously 10, now 15% per year raise. The annual retirement contributions went up to $25,000. Yes, that's $10,000 more per year than the previous contract. The scariest part is this. Should she be terminated by the council, they have to pay employee a lump sum cash payment equal to 6 months base salary plus 1 month for every year served. So that's about 10 months right now. That means her payout, her golden parachute, would be $133,000. That's insane. But of course, in the event that the city manager voluntarily resigns her position with the city, then she is not entitled to that pay. So again, what do I think is going on here? I think they're trying to do this very quickly. I think there might even be some additional scandals that might unfold and might provide more insight why this is happening. Of course, you all have. We've been putting a lot of pressure to reform this city. We still don't know what's in this information that I requested 2 weeks ago that they're withholding. But I think they're gonna try to pull a fast one. My prediction is they're gonna do a thing where instead of like her contract, she's just supposed to leave without this pay. She's gonna try to get the sympathetic council tyrants to approve a termination thing where she gets a lot of money. I think she'll still stay around and manipulate this upcoming election, because I guess after all, if the tyrants get reelected, she can stay on. And I would assume that Joe Salvaggio is going to become the city manager of Leon Valley and receive a pay increase. All right, so the last update, and that's about the election, that election that the city council refused to even discuss calling. They've split up now this into 2 agenda items. There's one agenda item for the normal general election, and then they've split the recall to its own separate vote. So basically, the people up for recall, the establishment, they can order the general election and have that vote and probably play games on the next one. We might even see them walk out. Who knows? Like last time, how one of the councilwomen just up and walked out. So that's not good news. That's pretty scary. It looks like that recall election that they have to. It's a mandatory duty that they have to call that recall election. How this agenda is formatted, separating them out into different items, that makes me think that there might just be some games. Anyways, I hope y'all like these Leon Valley updates. It's pretty encouraging to me. While there might be some stumbles along the way, it's a clear sign to me that we're making progress in reforming the city, ending the tyranny, and hopefully we'll continue to get bad city officials out of there. The other thing is I spend a lot of money getting these public documents. Yes, they should just provide it, but I think they use the fees as kind of a, well, I know they do because when I requested the emails from Joe Salvaggio, one of the most recent requests that I got, there will be videos on that soon. I got about 4,000 emails, and in there, they were saying, hey, be sure to charge them, and, basically like, hey, I wasn't going to pay. Well, after she was like, hey, he paid, you better get your emails printed out. I've spent, just in the past couple of months alone, I've spent over $500 paying for public information from Leon Valley. So if you're able to, your donation of $20, $50, really whatever you're able to do, that really helps out in my ability to get these government secrets, publish them, get them out for everyone to see. So y'all know what's going on. So y'all know how you want to take action for making your government how you want it to be. If you're able to help, PayPal, link is in the description. If you'd like to be a recurring supporter, you can use Patreon. I would like to thank, according to Jennifer, for her contribution that helped me get those 4,000 pages of sent emails from Salvaggio. If you haven't been following this, I recommend watching the City Council video. You should be able to click on it right about there on the screen. And also subscribe to my channel for all the latest updates on Leon Valley. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your interest in making your government, your society better. Have a great weekend. See you next time. Bye.